My name is Carlito, and I'm greater than yesterday, and I'll be even greater tomorrow.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Greater.Inc, where you know you are greater than yesterday, but you'll be even greater tomorrow. It's your boy, Zachary Tanner. I'm here at All Things Rare in Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm here to kick it with the CEO, the founder, Mr. Carlito Ross, his vintage shop, and we're going to talk about his journey, we're going to talk about fashion, and we're going to talk about how this mural came about. It's an interview you definitely don't want to miss. Come on, let's go. Hey Carlito, before we go into All Things Rare and your shop, man, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your journey to this point in your life.
Okay, well, I'm originally from Fresno, California. I was born in Los Angeles in the outside areas of Orange County. Moved to Charlotte initially, and that was in 2012, right after I graduated from Fresno State University. Played college basketball, stuff like that, and after the transition from Charlotte, I moved to Greensboro because we built a house in the Oak Ridge, Greensboro area. And I started collecting seriously for this business around 2012 when I first moved. 2012, 2013 is when I started curating my collection that I eventually went on to title All Things Rare. Okay. So yeah, I've probably been selling vintage for a little over 10 years in total, and then collecting for this store in general for about 7 years or so.
Okay. Let's talk vintage. I mean, some people want things out of a store, retail.
Right.
Some people like high-end things.
Right.
But a lot of people who are really into fashion really are good with vintage pieces, thrift pieces. What got you into vintage pieces?
Well, the great thing about vintage was you can get all of those things, your high-end, your sports, your black history, your culture, whatever you want, you can get all that bundled into one. So that's what made vintage so great for me. It was just one of those things that's so universal and so unique, because you go into a vintage store and if you pick up a piece, say for instance, you pick up a Wu-Tang jersey, 36 chambers, there's only one of these in my store. Yeah. So once you take it, you're the only person to have it.
Yeah,
so that's kind of dope, because rather than going to the mall where you can pick up one of 20 of the same items, you can come to my store and get one of one. So that's what kind of like started a kind of a buzz in the city, was the fact you can come to my store and get the one of maybe only.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. Let's talk about entrepreneurship for a little bit. I mean, what interested you in having your own business, starting, living into entrepreneurship, believing in yourself enough to do it? What got you into that?
Well, I was working retail, working like these different retail jobs and stuff like that, and I could just see how no matter how advanced I got in that store, I wasn't advancing as far as my salary went, and I wasn't advancing as far as like ownership over the store. I was never going to be able to own one of these stores that I was working for. So it just kind of like thrusted me into my own want for me to be the boss of my own business. And I had an example of a young lady that worked with me, and she quit to do her own business, which was vintage at the time. Okay. And she just like would always motivate me, like, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Yeah. You know, like you have a good eye for vintage. Maybe you should take that leap. And I had to literally be forced out, like fired from my retail job, because I was just so comfortable, to then get thrusted into what I'm doing now. And you know, it's just, when you wake up every day, it's up to you. If you want to make $100, you just got to go out and get it, rather than just being dependent on that job that you just, have 9 to 5 and stuff like that. So I just took ownership over my own life, and I just was able to make these strides to get where I'm at today.
Okay. I like what you just said about that ownership of your own life. Talk about that journey of taking ownership of your own life, because like you said, when we're working a 9 to 5, we're working for somebody, we are complacent, we are comfortable, because we know that check is going to come. Right. But when you have that not security or insecurity of where is this money going to come from, the ownership that you have to take for your life. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like you can set your own goals as far as like going into the unknown of not knowing what's possible. When I have my own business, I can say to myself, hey, I need to make $1,000 this week. What am I going to do it? So if that means waking up at 6 a.m., going to the thrift store before everybody else, getting all the pieces that I need to make that total be accomplished, then that's what you have to do. opposed to if you have a retail job and your cap limit is 1,000 that you can make in 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can say in vintage or in your own business, you can say, hey, I want to make 1,000 today.
Yeah.
Can't wait 2 weeks. And it was just that type of encouragement that I kept giving myself, waking myself up every day early at the crack of dawn to be the first one, like they say, the early bird gets the worm. So I just took that type of approach to it, and I left retail far behind in the past memory, because once I start seeing myself being able to reach these goals that I set for myself without the help of anybody else, it was like kind of like I urged to keep doing it and stuff like that. I had that burning desire to see what I could do next.
Yeah.
So.
When did you see that you had the gift for fashion? When did you see that, like, yo, I'm putting together fits that not only that I like, but that people are complimenting me on, or that people are like, yo, I really want to ask Carlito for some advice on the fashion tip?
Yeah, I say my mom and like my family started me off real early, just on like to be on trend with what's going on and stuff like that. My mom was always big into like putting me onto like the FUBUs and the Carl Canais, and I wasn't knowing them, but I was representing black culture. You know what I'm saying? I was representing black brands, and I also sprinkled in your Tommy Hilfiger and your Polo and stuff like that, but I gravitated more to the black owners, and stuff like that, and wanted to support them even more. And so I knew by putting that type of energy into my style and my fashion, once I got to the point where I started selling clothes, I would reciprocate that same type of energy, because I've always supported black, and now people support me, which is supporting black. But as far as like when I started realizing people would start rocking with what I'm wearing and like be able to take my coaching and stuff like that, probably high school is when I started selling my first vintage pieces, and it was just throwback jerseys at the time, and I would wear them to school. The local barbers and stuff, they would get these jerseys and give them to me to wear as like a walking billboard, and I would walk to school, I'll wear them, and then guys, hey, I want that jersey. Oh, you can have it. I'll take it right off right there and sell it, and then make my percentage, give the barber his percentage. Yeah. So that's kind of like where it started, like 03, 04 is when it really started.
That's what's up. So one thing that I like about that is a lot of people, when they see you, they might say, yo, he just got on, or he just did this, but it's like you put in the groundwork.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a couple of years being consistent with the same thing. I was just talking to a friend that you got to do something every day. If you really want to be successful at it, you got to be every day with it.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, you become stagnant, or you stay the same, or you repress.
Yeah, this is true. This is all true information. Like, I hate when people try to, like, not saying your friend or anything, but when people try to say like you have to do something every single day. Like, there's been plenty of days where I didn't do nothing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to like literally just pray and hope and dream that this will be accomplished. And some of those days I didn't do anything towards my goal and towards where I'm at today. But if you're consistent with anything, you're eventually going to see results. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I just stay consistent on my own terms. Everything that I do here is a little bit unorthodox than the norm, because it's my way and it's my story of success. So I don't have I can't say like, hey, I watched this guy do it and then I fell into that by watching him. I just did everything from, just mistakes. Yeah. You make a mistake here or two, you learn from it, and then you get better at what you're doing. So that was kind of my journey into everything that I'm doing. I just took it one day at a time, trusted God, trusted family, and then I put every amount of money and resource that I could into it, and now we're here today.
That's what's up, man. It's definitely a beautiful spot, man. Check it out, 1401 East Bessemer.
Yes, sir.
I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina. A statement that a lot of people say is, the man makes the clothes don't make the man.
Right.
Is that the truth?
I mean, you can style anything into like how you want it to be. So it's like, yeah, you can have $2,000 shoes, $3,000 jeans, and $10,000 shirt, but you might not look as cool as a person that just has on a completely thrifted outfit that costs $20, because it's the way you carry yourself that gives you that persona of like either upper echelon or not. You know what I'm saying? So you can have your own, it's just about how you carry yourself with anything. To me personally, like if you walk into a room and you exude the energy of the room and you don't have but $20 in your pocket, that just means that you are in the right mindset and you have the right persona for that room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You might go to the next room and nobody notice you.
Yeah.
So it just depends, man. I don't like everybody gets caught up into wanting to one up the next person, and I feel like the person that's comfortable in their own skin is the one that has everything figured out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like whoever can find happiness in what they're doing every day is the one, to me, that's the richest,
Gotcha.
rather than the pockets or whatever.
Most
So
definitely. So every room that I've been in with you, you've always stood out, and there's that confidence that you talk about. Where did you get your confidence from, or what are some tips for other people to have confidence and be happy with themselves?
I think it's for me, it took like I come from a background of playing team sports. You know what I'm saying, my whole life. So when you walk into a basketball game, you have to look like you could drop 40.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you look like you just gonna be out there playing and just running around, then nobody's gonna like look at you as a threat. So I think mine comes from playing team sports and just being one of those people that, like, when I walked on the court, I wanted you to, from my shoes to my wristbands to my headband to the Beats by Dre's on my ears or whatever it was, I wanted you to feel like, oh, he might drop 50 tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how I approach fashion. You know, I approach fashion with, I want my sneakers to look like, oh yeah, he's coming to kill today or whatever like that. And so I think that kind of gives me an advantage. And then I'm really like open to conversation. Like anybody that meets me, like you knew it was okay to just come up and say what's up.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't exude that type of energy.
Yeah.
You look at him and you'd be like, oh damn, he fresh, but he don't look approachable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I've always made myself approachable and an open book to anybody that's willing to learn about what I got going on or learn about just me in general. So I think it's a lot about that, you know, just having that type of attitude where you're open to new things and new conversations and meeting new people. I think that helps a lot with fashion and everything in life.
That's All right, so we out here by the Nipsey Hussle mural that was put up by Mr. Carlito and his partner right after Nipsey passed, man. Why did you put this up? Why was it so important for you to put this up for the city?
Well, me and my partner, his name is Kevin Townsend, we call him Smooth. You can check both of us out on Instagram. We reached out to Jex, the artist, who is an amazing talent out of High Point, and we just wanted to put a remembrance of Nipsey, you know what I'm saying, just to immortalize everything that he stood for, everything that he had going on. It was a tragic loss, and we just wanted to make sure that the east side of Greensboro specifically had that motivation to serve. The marathon would definitely continue on this side of town, and we did it out of just the kindness of our heart. We didn't look for any financial gain or anything like that, and it was just something we felt was necessary.
All right, so this mural, what did Nipsey Hussle mean to you? I know you're from California, and I know you got a lot of friends that were close to him. You got a lot of friends that y'all were in the same circle about. What does he mean to you? What did his presence and his marathon continue to mean for you?
Yeah, I mean, it just stood for Black entrepreneurship. Like you guys know, you guys are at my store now, so you know he took his own destiny in his own hands. He didn't want to work for anybody. He didn't want a middleman involved at all. He wanted to make sure that his legacy went down as he took his own destiny in his own hands. So that's what we stand for here. And with having this mural here, it just makes that legacy live on. So the next person that's walking up the block that wants to have their own store one day, hopefully can see somebody like Nipsey and use them as inspiration to get their own one day.
That's right.
So he just represented hope, he represented legacy, and he represented the West Coast, and that's where I'm from. So yeah.
Talk about what it all took to get this mural up, man. This is like a great piece of work. I mean, Jex, NC, he did his thing definitely on this joint. What did it take to get this done?
Yeah, so we basically had to reach out for Jex. I had my partner Smooth reach out to Jex on Instagram. He gave us his rate, and he was actually looking really forward to doing a Nipsey tribute, and he just didn't know how it was going to come about. So he gave us a nice, decent price that we could manage and stuff like that. We had a couple sneaker stores. Shout out Request Boutique and everybody else that was involved in donating to the cause. Took us a total of 4 days. We reached out to him. He said he could do it, set aside time for it, and he got it all up in 4 days. And you know, now it's here to stay forever.
Most definitely. This is a major plug for the city. A definite way to show black people that we can do our own thing, we can have our own stuff, and that you can always be greater than yesterday. Hey, shout out to Jex NC, man. If you need a mural, definitely hit him up for that. And thank you for all the people who donated and supported to make this a reality.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely appreciate you. And if you're ever in the Greensboro or North Carolina surrounding areas, make sure to come through, come show your love to Nip.
Carlito, what does All Things Rare offer? For somebody who's never heard of and never been here, what can they come and get? What can be some of their expectations?
Okay, so I mean, you want to expect when you come here first to get something that everybody doesn't have. That's my main focus, was to make sure if there's usually just one of everything. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the term All Things Rare comes from, because you can come here, you can get a bag that nobody has, a jersey, a jacket. Some of my jackets and stuff are custom to where there's literally only one in the world. Like, I've created these. I took t-shirts and jeans and patches and put them all together to make something that's literally one of one. So All Things Rare just stands for something that's like not going to be seen by anyone else, or nobody else may have.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I offer here, just the opportunity to get something that not everyone will have when you walk out.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
A lot of people want to be unique, but a lot of people don't know how to find their own style.
Mm-hmm.
How did you find your own style? How do you tell people how to find their own style?
I would say, take chances with the fashion. Like, fashion is not supposed to be so like stern and like by the book. You're not supposed to do everything by the book with fashion. With me, I went through a phase where I didn't want anything to match.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want whatever colors I was wearing, I didn't want them to match up. I wanted everything to be just different. And so I think with me, it was like being experimental. Like, whoever was coming out, if Dipset came out and I liked their style, I switched to Dipset style. If Nelly came out and I liked the St. Lunatics, I switched to that. So it's just about like being able to experiment with your style until you settle into something that works for you.
Yeah. All right, let's go over here. Let's move to this section right here. All right, so tell me about this.
Yeah, so this is my pride and joy right here. I mean, this is kind of what I use. This section here is like the first thing you see when you walk in the door. So I kind of use this as like a selling point for my store. Just a blend of everything. We have black art, we have Tupac memorabilia, we have Tommy Polo, Bape, Louis Vuitton hats, just a little bit of everything. This kind of is just like a gauge of everything that the store has to offer. So yeah, this is just like, I try to change it up every couple weeks just to keep people on their toes with all the new stuff coming in, but all new inventory usually ends up here. So it's just, this is my example of how fashion and how you can look when you come to this store, like what the outcome can be. Most people know me for graphic t-shirts and being the best at having different graphic tees. So these are my pride and joy sections, and then everything else is just like a blend of what 90s and 80s and early 2000s used to look like when you went to those type of stores.
Got you. So a lot of people might not understand the effort and the energy that it takes to keep up a vintage store. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are some gems that, like you said, everybody doesn't have, that people can't find. Talk about some of the legwork that goes into having one of the unique spots in Greensboro.
Yeah, it's really about trying to have an eye for what you think is best. And for me, I started with like black culture. So I'll have a Million Man March shirt, I'll have a Martin Luther King shirt, and these are things that are like special to me. Like I like these more than everything else, mostly in the store. And it really, my legwork comes from thrifting originally. Like, I was like one of the first people thrifting in the area, pulling these type of pieces. So it all came together for me because I had a head start of everybody. Now thrifting is huge and you see everybody out there and stuff like that, so I don't have time to thrift as much. Yeah. But I had a 5-year head start on everybody, so I have all this, and this is just a small section of everything because I have a storage unit with over 100,000 more pieces. Wow. So we just, like, as this sells down, we pull from the storage unit, and I've been open for 2 years and haven't had to pull anything from storage yet. So we'll be around for a while, and it was my testament to being able to spend every resource that I had, every dollar. I went broke trying to build this business. Yeah. And I collected for, like I said, 5 years, and I didn't want to open a small store like this until I had enough merch for 3 stores. So that's why I have the storage unit with the 100,000 pieces. And I would say, like, if you want to get into a business like this, make sure your inventory is way up. Yeah. Because if you have really good inventory and you sell out, then you're starting from scratch. Yeah. and the hard part is refining all this stuff. So
Sounds good.
yeah.
Sounds good. I like the idea that you said you had to go broke to build.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people want to start, you know what I'm saying, big. A lot of people don't want to, a lot of people despise small beginners, if you will. But the fact that you are willing to say, you know, I'll go broke for my dream and I'll have a plan B. Talk about that. Talk about having a plan B and plan A and sticking with it.
Oh yeah. So I mean, going broke, that's easy to talk about. We've all done that. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty easy to discuss. What I meant by that was like, there was times when I looked at my account and there was only $100, and I would go thrifting and my total would be $98.50, and I'd be like, damn, what am I gonna do? Like, am I gonna support my dream or am I gonna eat tonight? And I would choose my dream every time. You know what I'm saying? And that was like just like a testament to myself, like, how bad do you want it? You know what I'm saying? Are you willing to literally start from scratch and then have to rebuild all over again? And I was willing to do that. Like, I was really willing to put like every resource I had, because it was just me. Like, you know, to get my business appraised and it be way above what I ever imagined it being, shows me that investment was smart at the time, because everything that I collected back then has went up in value since. So, you know, now we're looking like we need to look, you know what I'm saying? Now we can stand the test of time, and now we can go up against any vintage store in the country and still feel like, you know, we're right there. You know, we have a fighting chance against anybody. So, you know, it's just being willing to be uncomfortable. Like, that uncomfortable feeling sometimes makes people run back to what they know. And for me, that uncomfortable feeling just made me want to go even harder. So, you know, I made it to where I had to feel uncomfortable to now feel completely legit.
Gotcha.
So that's what you got to be willing to do.
So before we get out of here, man, I got two last questions. One to touch on the culture, man. What's on your playlist right now? What you bumping to?
Music? Oh yeah. I mean, obviously a lot of Nipsey. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like recent that he's passed. So like, I had to rediscover some music of his that I didn't know existed.
Okay.
And there's a project. It's him and a guy named Bino. It's called, forget the name of this project. This project is called No Pressure. Okay. It's a Nipsey and Bino. I forget his last name, but it's called No Pressure. If you haven't heard it, I would definitely suggest go listen to it. But besides Nips, you have, you know, your Kendrick, your Dom Kennedy, I listen to a lot. And then Gunna is like heavy on the playlist. You know what I'm saying? Like Gunna, I've been like kind of like rocking with him since Drip Season 3. So he's heavy on the playlist. And I'm trying to think who else is just like in there. I listen to a lot of R&B too, though, you know. So there's like a nice blend of your John Legend and all your R&B acts that are just like super timeless, Mary J. Blige and stuff like that. All these people. I'm a little bit older than everybody, so sorry it's not LMA and all these. You know what I mean? Like, for the viewers, you know, it's not an LMA, it's a Mary J. Got you. Yeah.
All right, so you got 5 days. You on the trip. Okay. Can't do no reruns. Okay. What's your top 5 shoes you bringing? What's the heat?
Top 5 shoes.
Top 5.
I'm bringing my Virgil Louis. Okay. The black and gray. I'm actually bringing the highs and the lows. Okay. I got both of those, so I'm gonna bring the Virgil highs and lows. I'm bringing my Chicago Off-White one. Yeah. I'm bringing my Travis Scott, so I'll throw them in there because they're a nice little neutral color. Yeah. And then probably my Balenciaga Triple S. Yeah, probably that. Just like if I had to just 5 days and I wanted to represent every day, that's probably my collection I'll roll with.
You gotta represent, man. You heard it here. You gotta represent. Don't be out here looking bummy, man. You gotta come correct. So if somebody wants to come to All Things Rare and get decked out in some of the nicest vintage stuff, what do they have to do?
All right, so my Instagram is wickedwizardz, and we'll have a link for that so you guys can check it out. And all you do is just DM me, let me know that what time you want to come by, what works for you. And as long as I have an hour in advance, we can meet, set up an appointment. It's real user friendly. So just DM me, let me know what you're looking for, send me a small list, and when you get here, I'll have it all laid out for you.
All right, sounds good. Talking about your legacy and talking about, you know, going forward, how do you see yourself being greater than yesterday? How do you see yourself striving or elevating to be the Carlito that you always dreamed to be?
Yeah, I mean, I love the slogan, by the way, greater than yesterday. Like, that's kind of like how I try to wake up and be every day. I try to wake up and do, if I had a day that wasn't as successful, I try to wake up and make the next day be even better by just changing my regimen. If I woke up one day and forgot to pray, that next day I'll wake up, I'll make sure I pray overtime.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Or if I didn't go thrift and I really felt like it, but I was just too tired, then that next day I'll thrift twice as hard, or whatever the case may be. So I think whatever, if you want to be greater than the day before, the best way to do that is make sure whatever you had planned on doing and didn't get accomplished, do it, but 10 times harder. You know what I'm saying? So if you only put an hour into your craft, put 5 hours into your craft. Like, just go above and beyond what you planned on doing. So that way that there's no mistake of, anything that you left out. Just leave it all on the table. Like, if there's nothing else that you can do, leave a legacy of just being a person that was willing to give all, just to get where you want to be.
Most definitely. Well, you heard it here first, man. This is Greater.Inc. Greater yesterday, but you'll be even greater tomorrow. I'm Zachary Tanner. I'm here with my man Carlito.
Yes, sir.
All right, come down to All Things Rare, pick up some vintage material, and I guarantee you'll leave fresher than you were yesterday.
Absolutely.
Peace out.
My name is Carl, aka Carlito Ross, and the quote that sticks out to me is by Nipsey Hussle, and it's, if you look at the people in your circle and you don't get inspired, then you don't have a circle, you have a cage. And that sticks out to me because we should all inspire to have people in our circle that inspire us every day, and you have to have those people that push you to be greater than you were yesterday.